Hello everyone, welcome to the full stack web development course where we will be creating a school management system using all the tech stack you see in the screen. We will be using Azure, cloud, everything. And if you follow this course in a structured way, I can assure you, you will no longer be a backend developer. You will become a full stack developer. High in demand, high in salary. Having said that, let's start with JavaScript. Guys, if you're stepping into the world of web development, JavaScript has got to be your first station. Without JavaScript, you cannot even think to excel. Forget about excelling, you can't even survive without JavaScript. So JavaScript is probably one of the most important topic you have to. Maybe after HTML and CSS, but JavaScript is there. You think of the web development as CSS and HTML is just a body, and JavaScript is the soul, which makes that body run, eat, do everything. So JavaScript, I see a lot of people hate JavaScript. They say it's very complicated to learn. Some people are in love with it. I am one of them. I love JavaScript. So before we move ahead and learn about JavaScript, I must thank each and every one of you. You know, in just 1 month, you have given me so much love. I've already crossed 5.6 thousand subscribers, which is not a joke. So thank you very much for that. So before we get into the basics of JavaScript, you have to understand how browser actually look at the code. So whenever we write our code in C Sharp, Java, or any language for that matter, browser doesn't have the capability to understand that code. So what happens is when you, let's say, write CSS and HTML and create a web page, our browser look at it as a static image. It doesn't see anything happening there. So the moment you add JavaScript code, that web page becomes interactive. Now, keeping that understanding in mind, let's start our chapter 1. So, what is JavaScript? As I said, JavaScript makes our web application, web pages interact. That's the simplest definition I can point out. If, as I was talking about HTML and CSS, if you see, HTML helps us to structure our web page, CSS helps us to style it, and JavaScript is the one, behind the scene doing all the magic. It adds behavior. So if you look at the code snippet out here, it's an HTML tag with few tags out there, and you see how it will look on the browser, right? The moment you add CSS, it looks slightly better, isn't it? But even if you click on the login page, browser will not help you do anything. Now, the moment you add JavaScript, now that login button, start doing something. You can do anything. I mean, just for the sake of example, I have wrote down a simple text. You can use it to print a to show a page. To maybe you can help them to redirect to a different page. All these things can be achieved only through the JavaScript. Now, if somebody asks you why do we even need JavaScript, as you must have already understood the role of JavaScript, the simple and the core purpose of JavaScript is to make our static content interactive. That's the main thing. JavaScript does a lot of things like, handling click events, typing, scrolling, validating a form, update the UI without even reloading the entire page. You know, it also helps us to fetch the APIs, which you'll see in the Angular course, which we will be, talking a lot in depth when we discuss about Angular. So in order to run JavaScript, you need two things basically browser, Node.js, and a text editor. That's all. Okay. If you have all these three things clubbed together, you are good to go with the learning JavaScript. So, as I was talking about Node, you have to get it installed. If you haven't installed already, please install it because we will be doing a lot of hands on exercises. Now, how to run JavaScript code? Either, as I said, directly on the browser or through the Node.js runtime. So that's why we need this Node.js runtime. Please get it installed on your system. These are the steps you can follow. Okay. So Node is nothing but a open source JavaScript runtime environment that helps us to allow executing the JavaScript code. So these are the steps you can follow in order to install it. So get it ready so that we can write the code. From chapter 2, you will see me doing a lot of hands-on. And I would strongly encourage you to do the same along with me. Write the code, understand the basics, and be clear about everything. Because without understanding, without doing any hands-on, you can't expect to get that point digested. See? So once you're done with installing all the important component required, uh, before we close this chapter one, let me give you a brief how actually browser look at our code. So when let's say we have created HTML, CSS, and JavaScript code, our browser will load the HTML, and inside that HTML code, JavaScript will be there. So browser will find the JS file or JS code which is written there. If it is inline, then it will parse it and execute that particular JavaScript code, which you will see in the hands-on experience in the next chapter. So these are, you can say, the common use cases. Not just these, I mean, there are a lot of use cases. Just for few, pointing out few of them, like image carousels, interactive menu, form validation, all these things we can create using JavaScript. So our JavaScript learning has begun here. In the next chapter, we will start doing hands-on. We will be writing code and going and inspecting the web pages, how it works. We'll be doing some form validation, everything. Okay. So be ready with all the installation thing which I already told you. Install Node.js, install VS Code, and from next chapter we'll start doing hands-on. Some code will be written there. And again, thank you very much for the overwhelming support. Keep on supporting. Share this channel for all the fellow .NET developers. I want everyone to transition from backend developer to a full stack developer. Thank you very much.